Aggregation. Aggregation defines the objects of that class as composed of simpler components. Like for example, we take triangle composed of 3 points, and often called the part of relation. More on UML class diagrams. UML class diagrams can be seen as an evolution of the simple GDN or the graphical design notation. The uses of relationship replaced by a variety of relations. The generalization, specialization, the associations of various kinds, and aggregation. Generalization specialization is implemented through inheritance in all languages. If a class B inherits from class A, then B uses A. Other kinds of relations is implemented straightforwardly by embedding in an object references to the object it is related to. And UML also provides annotation to describe the is component of relation. It is called the package construct, which is a package name composed of different classes. Dynamic aspects of an architecture. Number 1 is the state diagrams. It describes all possible states the objects of a given class may enter and how an object's state changes. Number 2 is the activity diagrams. Describes workflows that traverse the executions of methods of different objects. Architecture and components. An architecture of a system describes the overall organization and structure of the system. Here, we must consider the cost and reliability. To gain the possible benefits is to start on a design quickly, defines a kind of genetic interface, and serves as an integration platform. Here are the standard architectures. Number 1 is the pipeline architecture, or also called the pipe and filter. Number 2 is the Blackbird architecture. Number 3, event-based architecture. And number 4 is the domain-specific architecture, which is used for selecting and configuring components within the architecture to meet particular application requirements. So how DSA can be processed? Number 1 is define the scope of the domain. Stage 2, define, refine domain-specific concepts or requirements. Stage 3, define or refine domain-specific design and implementation constraints. Stage 4, develop domain architectures or models. Stage 5, produce, gather reusable work products. So here is a scenario. Ticket purchase scenarios. Number 1 is ask. The customer asks the agent what seats are available. Number 2, look. The agent enters the appropriate command into his or her terminal and relates the result to the customer, like cost, section, row number, and seat number. 3, decide. The customer decides what seats are desired, if any, and tells the agent. Number 4, buy. The customer pays the agent for the tickets. The agent gives the tickets to the customer. And number 5 is update. The agent records the transaction. Software components. So there are various reasons for the success of libraries as components. Number 1 is the clear interfaces. Number 2, useful and separable service. Number 3 is a clear domain of applicability. In 1990s, components packaging mechanism became possible. The generic constructs in languages such as ADA in C++ and object frameworks in all languages. The STL or the standard template library, Java Beans, and Swing. So STL is a collection of software components designed for C++ and eventually merged into the C++ standard library. It consists of data structures such as lists and stocks. Java Beans components are represented by icons that may be dragged and positioned on the screen, while Swing supports the development of graphical user interfaces. Architecture as the framework for component integration. Component-based development is a two-step process. Number one is the high-level architecture or design of the system is developed. Number two, find the needed components off the shelf or already available in the market. So the CORBA, the Common Object Request Broker architecture, is supported by the inter-ORB protocol. So we have here the CORBOX services and the ORB or the Object Request Broker, and the upper part is the application objects, the domain interfaces, and the possible CORBA facilities. So Common Object Request Broker architecture as interface definition language, wrapper software, and distributed component object model. Architectures for distributed systems. So we have the two-tiered architecture, which is request for service and has a web browser or the client, and web browser as the server. And we have here the three-tiered architecture, which the client and the decode service and the application server.